Are debt collectors blowing up your phone? Well, no worries. Stick around and I'll expose these agencies and show you how to get them off your back. Welcome back to the Framework Fortune channel. I am your host, Ben. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe and punch that notification bell so you can be ready for all the new videos coming out. Alright guys, let's talk about these debt collectors. Everybody's had to deal with them. They're annoying, they harass you, they call you constantly. From this point on, after watching this video, do not talk to these debt collectors on the phone. If they call you, hang up immediately. Do not acknowledge them. Do not tell them your name. Do not tell them any of your information, okay? For one, it'll keep you from being scammed in case it's a scammer and not an actual debt collection agency. But for two, there's reasons why you don't want to talk to them over a recorded line, because once you admit to that debt, then they've got it on recorded line and there's nothing you can do about it. But here's the truth about these companies. Say, for instance, you owe T-Mobile $1,000. You have a bill from them in collections for $1,000, okay? This other company, Turtle Collection Agency or whatever, they call you and they want you to pay that $1,000. That collection agency does not work for T-Mobile. They bought your contract, your debt, from T-Mobile for pennies on the dollar, way cheaper than what your debt actually is. Okay, and this is how these companies are in business. Anytime something goes into collections from a company, it goes up for auction, and the collection agencies bid on it, and they get it way cheaper than what you actually owe. And the way they stay in business is they scare you into paying the full amount that you owe. So that $1,000 T-Mobile bill they're calling you about, they probably paid $50 for that contract. And you paying them $1,000, it's not going to T-Mobile, it's going to them. So they are terrible. But there's several different things you can do in ways to get these collections off of your credit. So first thing is a dispute. If you have not talked to the collection agency over the phone, if they don't have you on a recorded line admitting to your debt, then you can get your debt removed, most likely, just by disputing. Now what you want to do is, hopefully you have a Credit Karma account or Credit Sesame, one of those things, and you can see where your debt is at. And so if it's showing up on your Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian, or all three at the same time, you'll want to write a letter to all three of those companies saying that you're disputing this collection and that you're not aware of it. And on Credit Karma, there's actually a dispute option, but don't do that yet. You want to try to write letters first, because if you dispute with Credit Karma and it doesn't get off of your credit, if they don't take it off, then you give up your rights to dispute it. So that's kind of a second step if writing the letters directly to the credit bureaus doesn't work, okay? But if you do have that Credit Karma app, then you can go ahead into the dispute section and see the list of reasons they tell you that you can use to dispute something, and use one of those if you don't want to say that you don't want to acknowledge that you don't acknowledge that account on your credit. So dispute first and do it with letters. Write letters to the credit bureaus, but only to the ones that actually have that collection on that report. Because sometimes TransUnion will have a collection on the report, but Experian won't. So you have to see which ones have which and write letters to those. Okay. Now, if this works, and most of the time it works as long as you have not admitted to that debt. But if it works, they will remove it from your credit report completely, and your credit score will jump up right away. It's great. Now, if that's not working out, try the Credit Karma dispute and try to dispute it on there. I have done both, and both have worked for me. The Credit Karma one, I just had a collection that was only showing up on TransUnion, so I disputed it on Credit Karma, and it took it off in about 2 to 3 weeks, and my score jumped up some points. So write a letter first. If that doesn't work, then try Credit Karma dispute. All right. So say you have admitted to this debt, and you're thinking right now, what am I going to do if I can't dispute it? It's okay. It's not the end of the world. The next step is to call the collection agency. I know that sounds terrible because I told you not to talk to them, but this is kind of getting in the worst case scenario zone. But call the collection agency. Tell them you want to settle. Because remember what I said earlier, they only paid $50 or $100 for that $1,000 debt contract that they bought. So there's no reason for you to pay them that full amount. They didn't pay that full amount for it. So tell them you want to settle. Now, some of them might argue with you, and you just hang up on them, but they'll call you back and they'll want to settle. And so you can negotiate with them, tell them that you're not settling for the price they give you, because they might, like if it's a $1,000 T-Mobile bill, they might come back and say, we'll settle for $850. Well, that's still too high. So negotiate with them, tell them you'll pay $200. They don't like it, hang up on them. I'm sure they'll call back, and you'll get them down. You could probably get them down to at least half of what you actually owe. But the best thing to do when doing this is tell them when you pay that settlement that you want it to report to the credit bureaus as paid in full, because it looks a lot better if it's paid in full instead of being paid as settled. But like I said, you don't want to pay it in full because you're just wasting unnecessary money. So negotiate them, get them down, and tell them you want it paid in full. It's going to be on your credit anyways, so hanging up on them and all that stuff and fighting with them, it's not a big deal. They'll be calling you every day trying to get the deal worked out. So you just want to stay firm on those points of paying a lot lower and them marking it as paid in full. So you do that, you pay it off, you pay that settlement, then your score will jump up a little bit. It looks a little bit better when you have a paid in full collection than just an open collection just sitting there. Okay, and then also it'll fall off after a few years. So that's your pretty much last step. Dispute first with letters. If that doesn't work, dispute with Credit Karma. If that doesn't work, call the collection agency and try to settle for a lower price with them reporting it paid in full. So those are your options. You can also just wait. Collections will fall off after a long period of time. I think it's 7 or 8 years, something like that. But they will fall off. But if you're trying to buy a house or something like that, you need to resolve this quick. Those are your best options to try to get it off of your credit report. So that's it. Pretty simple, really. It's easy to do. Like I said, I've done it back when I was building my credit and fixing my credit. I had several collections. I got them taken off. Credit score jumped up nicely. And that's what you want. But that's it for this video, guys. Pretty simple. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments below. I'll answer them as soon as I can. Like I said, if you're new, hit that like button and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time.